I'm Sankirtana A. I'm a first-year law student. And my question is, how will the disqualification of Rahul Gandhi as an MP change the dynamics of Indian politics and especially the upcoming 2024 elections? Thank you.
So Vakil Sahab, tell me, how does somebody change something when somebody is absent always? But what I love about this lawyer, ladies and gentlemen, what I love about this lawyer is that before she asked me a question, the minute she held the mic in her hands, she first checked the time to determine whether she should say good morning or good afternoon. So since you have evidenced your conversation, let me say this. What is the premise on which this disqualification has happened? The insinuation in your question is as though it is the government which has disqualified an MP, which possibly stems from certain newspaper articles or certain debates, and you're nodding your head. That means I'm correct in my assumption. But since you're a student of the law, you know that it's a directive of the court. And why is it a directive of the court? Because the person concerned made a racial slur against the OBC community. Let that fact first be placed on record. Now, many amongst you who are seated here today do not know each other's possibly caste, religion, background. Let me draw your attention to somebody on stage who's from the OBC community. So the racial slur Mr. Gandhi has heaped is not only on one individual, but the entire community that includes the Chancellor. So now a case in a court of law is fought on merits and evidence. If you read the judgment says that the person concerned did not defend himself. Which leads me to assume two things. That either somebody within his political organization just did not want to defend him, knowing what the courts are capable of under the law. Or Rahul Gandhi thought he's above the law and that no court in this country will hold him accountable. You are free to believe any of those two theories. But as a student of law, I'm sure you know, once the court has ordered a particular conviction, it is incumbent upon the Speaker of the House to follow constitutional practice. Now, who is the Speaker of the House? The Speaker of the House of the Lok Sabha, precisely, is an entity that manifests the will of the Indian people through constitution. This is not a speaker who wakes up one morning and says, let me write the law as I deem fit. This is a speaker who presides over the Lok Sabha on the basis of the constitution, on the basis of acts of parliament, and this is a speaker that also responds automatically to the judicial precedent set by law. That is incumbent upon the speaker to follow. So the speaker takes a decision. Should we in a democracy, as Tejasvi says, if we truly thrive as a democracy, say that you can indulge in a racial slur against an entire community and then not be held accountable by law just because you're Rahul Gandhi? Because there have been people from his party who have said on record that the law for the average Indian should be separate, and that law that deals with the Gandhi family needs to be separate. You've heard that statement? So I ask the audience today, should all men, women and every gender be equal amongst and in front of the law? So the law spoke. Hence, let the law be followed. And when you talk about 2024, honestly, you want me to answer that question? Okay. So what is the premise on which he seeks to fight? He says in England, nobody lets him speak in a university in India. Is that true? Has he gone to universities in India? He has. Right? Have students interacted with him? Has government stopped any student from interacting with him? That means, was he lying in England? But when you go overseas and you say democracy is dead in India, I ask the voters and those who have not voted yet, has democracy died in your country? You are a country that was attacked by a terrorist in Mumbai. That terrorist was caught and brought to justice in a court of law. Do you remember Kasab? You are a part of one of the most majestic democracies of the world. Your democracy was attacked by an enemy state. But even that enemy was captured and through due process of law punished. Is your democracy dead? One of the greatest, Tejasvi was kind enough, and I again infer to his use of mother tongue, which I did not understand. In 2014, Narendra Modi won a fantastic majority, but I lost Amethi. Wasn't democracy alive then? So this is not the first institution Mr. Gandhi has attacked. And why does he attack it? He attacks it because it's a lower court. He distracts you. But when it comes to the Supreme Court, he goes and grovels for mercy. He does. So I think that will such a person in a confused state of mind be a challenge to Narendra Modi? What do you think?
Thank you, Didi.
Thank you.
Where are we getting the next question from? Hands rising.
They're rising in 3 layers.
There's one here.
I can see a lady on the first level there.
Yes.
In a dark shirt.
Can we get a mic there?
I can see one gentleman with a cap and a white mark.
Yeah. Mic alig hoga kinta munche ಇಲ್ಲಿ
Second
ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಡಿ
row there.
and mic alig ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ. Didi will first take this question. The mic
Yep.
will go there.
Hello. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes.
I have 2 questions. Can I ask to both with your permission? 2 questions.
Can you ask one, then we come back to you?
Okay.
Or are they interconnected? Then go ahead.
Okay. Being a Indian citizen, I can vote it only one constituency, but being a leader, you can contest in 2 constituencies. And the same was went to the court on February of this 23rd. But court said that it's up to the wisdom of the parliament that the contesting in the 2 constituency. Isn't it a backgate for the leader to enter the parliament?
No.
Don't you think so?
No, because even if they go to the second constituency, they still have to be voted into a position of service.
If they won in the both constituency, again you have to conduct a re-election within the 6 months and you have to spend the crores of amount together. Isn't it a waste of money?
I think every opportunity you get to elect somebody to serve you is an opportunity which is well supported. But if I understand the indication you are giving me, is that Rahul Gandhi should not have been permitted to fight from Wayanad. Is that what you are telling me?
Again, however,
Can you
like,
imagine him not having that opportunity, being defeated duly in Amethi, and then imagine Indian democracy then, my young friend?
Thank you.
So I think that it was kind enough of the court to leave it to the wisdom of Parliament. It was kind enough of the people in a constituency to be left to their wisdom to vote who they want to. And I think that till such time that your vote is not suppressed, this is one of the greatest joys of being part of a democracy, that you have multiple choices and it is incumbent or it's responsible enough for a citizen to make that choice. Till such time the citizen has the choice to pick an individual that they want to send to Parliament, I think our democracy thrives.
last
And-
one question.
No, that's the third question. So we have
No,
to go
no,
to the next
last question, please,
Brother,
please,
bro.
let me ask. Okay, like you talk about the equal.
He's transforming into Arnab Goswami right before us.
No, I won't get another chance to talk with you, ma'am. So it's a one-time opportunity, so I want to utilize in a proper way. Okay, you told the equality for every citizen. I want to ask this question. The Vada Virupakshapa from the Changiri constituency
Will you
MLA.
Please put the mic a bit low so that you're audible.
Okay.
Succinctly. Yes, because you're oscillating between two different pretexts of questions, and that's why I'm saying you're transforming into Arnab Goswami. It would be really, really kind of you if you allow your other colleagues to ask questions as well.
Probably, like, it's the last question, ma'am. It's like
Brother,
important
listen,
for me.
please. There's so many hands going up.
Ask,
There's so many.
allow
people.
other people the time.
Yes.
We've already asked two questions.
Can we?
As
yeah,
they
have
say in
the girl
Hindi,
there?
lalach buri bala hai.
I didn't get it.
I'll tell you when I get off the stage what it means.
Yes.
Ma'am, namaste. I'm from BTech,
Can you just
6th sem.
indicate where you're at, my friend?
Sure, ma'am.
Oh, hi.
Balcony.
Yes.
Bhavna from 6th sem BTech. I would like to actually address a concern. The thing is, we as Indians always tend to have this in the back of our mind ki jab tak there is no consequences associated with any of the law, we have this tendency ki why do we actually have to vote? Why do we have to wear helmet until there is no fine associated with it? So don't you think, ma'am, ki there should be some after consequences associated with voting as well?
No. Freedom cannot be penalized.
But we also want most of the
appreciate-
people to be voted, right?
Yes, and
Voting.
Bhavna, that is why it is important to be a part of platforms such as this, where those who may be naysayers, those who sit on the sidelines, or those who sit between issues can make a choice. I think that you're a part of not only a vibrant democracy, but you're part of a consciousness that has always supported choice. And I'm not talking constitutionally, politically. I'm talking civilizationally. You have been a part of a conscientious society. For instance, how is that consciousness introduced politically or administratively? We've never had in the history of our democracy a prime minister who stands from the ramparts of the Red Fort and talks about building toilets for women. Because building toilets for women was not assured to get you political headlines or become a part of breaking news. We've never had a prime minister before who has constituted the first ever menstrual hygiene protocol in the country. Modi has. And he's a man. There was no expectation from a male prime minister to do so. Did he penalize anybody in administration for never having done that? We have never had a prime minister from the ramparts of the Red Fort tell women of the country and families that go to Janaushadhi Kendras, you will get sanitary pads for 1 rupee. Because it is not a glamorous political statement to make. But the fact today, amongst all the male colleagues you have, a female cabinet minister and a female student can openly talk about it shows how much of that consciousness has changed in our country. That change, Bhavna, was not forced. It was participative in nature. It is not as though women did not have these issues. We never spoke about it. And for the first time, you have the head of the state speaking about it, normalizing that conversation. So that is why when I juxtapose it with a responsibility to vote, the Prime Minister has said that for 7 decades in our country, we have spoken about our rights. And that is why today Tejasvi, in his opening remarks, did not speak about the right to vote. He spoke about the responsibility to vote.
Thank you. The left, yes,
Yes.
one of you. My request is, after you ask the question, please pass on the mic so that the volunteers can pass it on to the next student and we can save some time.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Tahir. I'm from 6M BTech. My question to you will be regarding the lines of the BBC documentary that was released and which was censored by the Indian government. I would like to know some of the reasoning behind it and how the government decides what should be censored and what should be available to the citizens of India to be viewed.
Sahil, when a piece of not craft, but a piece of misinformation is brought into a public space to create discord between communities, it is the responsibility then of the government to ensure that there is no religious chaos reflecting on the situation of law and order. The issue which BBC tried to flag is an issue that was thoroughly investigated not by the Modi government but by the Sonia government. It was an issue on the basis of which evidence was produced in the Supreme Court of India, and the Supreme Court of India delivered a verdict. Agencies that were not under Modi but under Sonia Gandhi did their best to discredit Narendra Modi politically. However, ensuring that there is no political pressure brought upon on agencies. If you remember and if you Google a little bit, you will see the then Chief Minister of Gujarat walking up without any Rasta Roko, Dharna Pradarshan, anything up to agencies and getting grilled by them in a closed door. Post which Supreme Court declared its verdict. Why did this cacophony break out, Sahil? It broke out the minute India became the 5th largest economy in the world. It did not break out before it. So if an agency is trying to evade law, especially with regards to taxation, and thinks that the best way to bring pressure on a government is by releasing a documentary which is designed to incite hate between communities, then it is the responsibility of the government to ensure that communities don't go at war with each other on issues that have been settled by the Supreme Court of India. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. The question from, let's have diversity of geography here. So,
good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am. We all know about your impossible victory in Amethi. I would like to ask that what were the challenges you faced during that election, ma'am?
कहाँ से शुरू करूँ?
कहीं से
So when you go to a constituency which is a bastion for 5 decades, what is the challenge you face? Firstly, I'm the first non-Gandhi female to win from Amethi. Second, BJP did not have a cadre. It is Swayam Sevaks who were alive there. Third, BJP never got more than 30,000 to 35,000 votes ever. In 2014, I had only 20 days in Amethi. And I went in a vote share from 35,000 to 3 lakhs in only 20 days. I had close to 1,800 booths. I am a fiend for hard work and overworked myself. I covered in 20 days 1,200 booths. If I had gotten to the other 600, but those who are interested in research can Google up an interview Mulayam Singh Yadav did with Prabhu Chawla on Aaj Tak. Have you seen it? That's why you're asking the question. Now, for those who haven't seen it, Mulayam Singh Yadav ji was then the Chief Minister, and he told Prabhu Chawla in an interview that Sonia Gandhi called me after Modi's rally in Amethi. Sonia Gandhi said, "Help my son." It's an interview you can Google. And Mulayam Singh ji told Prabhu Chawla ji that because Sonia Gandhi called me and said, "Help my son," I transferred 1 lakh votes to Rahul Gandhi. It's on record. And I lost only by 1 lakh votes, which means Mulayam Singh had not helped Sonia ji. But the one thing that I took away in 2014, the Congress has had a history in Amethi of beating up Swayam Sevaks, of denying them opportunity for employment. If you're a Swayam Sevak, they would deny you a ration card. If you're a Swayam Sevak, they would deny you a road, electricity, a pakka house. And I realized in 2014 that these people have stayed here for decades and fought back. And the 3 lakh people in those 20 days believed that I could fight back. So I said to everybody, I don't know who will fight 19, but I will fight back. We fought back for 5 years and I won.
ಅವ್ನು ಕೈ ಎತ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ ಅವಾಗಿದ್ದ ಕೊಡ್ರಪ್ಪ ಪಾಪ ಅವನಿಗೆ.
Greetings, ma'am. Now, we spoke a lot about whether India is a vibrant democracy or not. But there are certain systemic challenges which would suggest that...
May I know your name, sir?
I'm Gurunathan from 6M BTech. Yeah, so for example... I'm Gurunathan. Yeah. So, for example, there are certain limitations on freedom of speech in our country. For example, there are blasphemy laws. So, why do we need blasphemy laws in all?
Which blasphemy law are you referring to?
No, for example, I think in many there have been many cases where people have been arrested.
Specific.
No, I mean, there have been cases where people have been arrested for insulting religious figures and gods.
And should they be celebrated for insulting religions?
Yes, they should be.
They should be?
Yes. No, I'll tell you why. I mean, why don't you just look at human history? For centuries, people have been
So what does
committing
the House say?
atrocities.
Should you have the freedom to insult somebody's religion?
Yes, you should. Yes, you should. Why not? Why not? Why? How can you force me to respect your beliefs?
Well, let me say this.
Especially when there's a lot of...
So you believe in insulting religions. I, as a member of parliament, don't. Tejasvi doesn't, and neither do people from your university.
Wait, hold on. That's not the point.
And I think one of the... Guru, you can give him the mic, poor thing. He wants it. Don't insult him. I think one of... When we talk about democracy and we talk about freedom of speech, We need to recognize freedom of speech comes with it with an inherent responsibility to respect everybody, including their way of life, including their religion, their way of life and their very existence. Yes,
Can we have the
and the
girl
gentleman there, we can have
No.
a tripartite
Ask your
debate
question.
later. Yes, madam.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Namaskar.
Belated happy birthday wishes.
Thank you.
I have noticed that you are very active on social media. What would be the one key piece of advice you want to give to the teenagers of this nation?
Are teenagers on social media? What is the age? Appropriate age?
I'm like 13 to 18.
So I think that firstly, if there are teenagers on social media, my message is not for the teenagers, for the parents. I think social media is a great platform for engagement, for expression. As a woman, I just hope, and especially as a mother, that it's a safe place for our children and for women to interact, to speak their mind. And I also feel that social media is also a great way to understand what is happening across many geographies. But my one advice, as you have sorted, is don't seek personal validation from your social media presence. Apart from your parents, nobody else rarely will unconditionally love you.
The girl here, yeah, please stand up. Yeah, can we have the mic here?
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Shweta and I'm from 6th semester BBA LLB. So my question to you today is, what is your view on the rising violence amongst the women and what are the measures to curb it?
Amongst women or against women?
Against women, sir. Against women.
I think, Shweta, 2-3 things. Firstly, there will never be a nation state without challenges. Utopia is a political philosophy. It is a legal mandate that we all aspire to be a part of. But what is necessitated on behalf of the state is to ensure that infrastructure is adequately provided to women in need of protection. So let me enunciate how. In the year 2013-14, the Congress party had declared the Nirbhaya fund, but not spent one penny of it. In the year 2014, when Prime Minister Modi took office, he said, can we bring together all ministries and all state governments and ensure that needs of safety and security of women and children are addressed? Since then till now, projects worth 9,000 crore rupees have been evaluated for women across the country only under this one fund, which is coordinated by my ministry. Now, what all have we funded? I will just highlight very shortly for you. First, for the first time in the history of our country, we have an anti-human trafficking unit in every district of our country. For the first time in the history of our country, we have one-stop crisis centers in every district of our country, where under one roof women can get short stay support, they can get medical legal aid, they can also get aid so that they can fight their cases in a court of law. Under the same fund, we have set up help desks for women across all police stations in the country. Under the same fund, we have set up close to 1,063 fast-track courts across the country, which includes 400 courts only for juvenile justice and children who are sexually assaulted so that their cases can be expedited. All helplines that you see for women and children in the country, though they are operated by states, they are funded by the Modi government. He has never taken credit for it. It's the first time possibly I'm saying it somewhere. So 1098 is the children's helpline, 181, 121, all the helplines, 35 in totality apart from 1098 are operated through funding by Government of India. We are now amalgamating it under one number so that wherever the crisis is, you can make that one call. Apart from that, forensic science labs are being set up across the country under this fund. So while the government is ensuring that there is administrative support given to women in need, until now close to, I think, only under the helpline, my last count was 80 lakh calls which were addressed through common service centers. Which means there was a time where, and this is subject to correction, because I have to consider numbers that the state has also responded to, commissions have responded to, one-stop crisis centers have responded to, and local jurisdictions that have responded to. I'm just giving a short context. In totality, what is the government saying? There was a time where women didn't know where to go and report because there would be less responsiveness. Now the government not only has created a response unit across the country, the government is also creating a social consciousness. That is why the National Education Policy now has a separate vertical of the Gender Inclusion Fund which also deals with issues of gender and academia. So this is not an issue which is being looked at from a silo. It is an issue which has been holistically approached.
Thank you, ma'am. I saw some hands here. Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Rakshit Shetty from BBA Second Sem. First of all, big fan of yours since Amityville. And my question.
Since when?
Since your Amityville, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
And my question is, with India as diverse with its culture, different tribal communities, different social religious variations, do you think that modern state can override and
Doesn't matter, don't read, Mr. Shetty. Whatever you feel like asking, ask.
do you think that modern state should override social and religious concerns and create a uniform law?
I think that there is a difference between religion and law. That's what I'm saying. There is a difference between religion and law. And why do I say this? I say this because I'm married to a Zoroastrian, and again a living example of it. Zoroastrians will not allow non-Zoroastrians into their temple. I am not allowed to enter the temple with my husband and my children. When in Hindus we have Yagyopavit, in Zoroastrians we have something called Navjot. So when we have thread ceremony in Hindu families, we have the entire family congregate. That's because the temple priest comes. If the Navjot happens in the fire temple, my children have had it done. They are now part of the Zoroastrian faith. I can't enter. So what does religion teach me? My religion teaches me to respect their religion and not break their tradition and enter the law, even if I'm the Women and Child Development Minister.
Thank you, ma'am.
But, sorry Tejasvi, when we're talking about the UCC, Mr. Shetty, you're talking about the UCC, correct? That is a different context. That is a context which says, should I get more punished and somebody from another community have less punishment? Should that happen? So there is a difference between religion and law, and I think that has to be discussed threadbare.
The girl there? Yeah. Then we'll come there. I see many hands. Yeah, we'll come. We'll come here as well. We have time for the.
Everybody on the top-notch students are very satiated.
Ma'am, good afternoon, ma'am.
Namaste.
I'm Chaitanya from 4th Sem BCom. I have a question, ma'am.
Yes.
In 1974, there was a bill raised by C.K. Chandrappa about the right to recall, ma'am. As Tejasvi Surya sir said that every individual has a right to vote. Every individual, why don't they have right to remove their member or the parliament from the parliament or the Lok Sabha, ma'am?
Well,
like,
the court just did.
The bill is not passed, but it's implemented in every panchayats, ma'am. So,
Like I said, the courts just did, and there is such a big hangama over the court exercising its right.
yes,
Yeah. The front row here. We'll come back. We have nobody from the front row. Yeah. Can we have the mic here? And then, shall we go there? All of you seem to be sitting pretty safe there.
No, I see a gentleman with a yellow shirt putting his hand up, and it doesn't look like a safe question is coming. Yes.
Namaste, ma'am. Jai Shri Ram. I am a participant of. I'm a participant of Youth Can Lead, which is conducted by Tejasvi sir. So my question to you is, Mr. Rahul Gandhi recently came to Karnataka and promised a bunch of freebies to the youth and to women. Do you believe that these instruments which the politicians use for getting votes or getting elected, is it right? All these freebies, promising not empowerment but making them dependent on the state rather.
So let me just show you what he was like as a member of parliament from my constituency. In my constituency of Amethi, 80% families did not have a toilet. Before and during the tenure of the Gandhi family. It is interesting, there is a train, and if you again, like I said, I leave it free for you to research it on your own. There's a train to a place called Uchahar, which is close to Amethi Raebareli. The first promise for the Uchahar train was made by Nehruji. The next promise for the same train in my constituency area was made by Indiraji. Then the same train was promised by Rajivji. And then somebody told Rahulji also to please promise that train only. And I kid you not, 4 generations of that one family in their constituency kept promising that one rail line. And the work began when Modi became Prime Minister. So you're absolutely right that those who have been disqualified, are they qualified to make false promises? The issue is, how many of you believe he has the capacity to deliver on any promise? That's your answer.
Yeah. Can we get the mic in the first row?
It's here, sir.
Oh,
Hi, ma'am. I'm Chartered Accountant Sanjana Revankar, and I have a question regarding menstrual leave. So basically, during the menstrual cycle, a woman goes through a lot of pain.
What's your name?
Sanjana, CA Sanjana Revankar. So during the menstrual cycle, a woman goes through a lot of pelvic pain, mood swings, and all of that, be it one day or two. There's no such policy of menstrual cycle leave as such. So what is your take on it, and will...
So I'll just speak as a lady professional.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so let me speak as a lady professional, and I'm saying this because Parliament is in session, and as a cabinet minister, I can't make any policy pronouncements or judgments outside. You talk about, Sanjana, a lot of women being disenfranchised from getting a job opportunity in the formal economy, right? It's a huge debate everywhere. How many weekends do we have in a month? How many days does that make it? Okay. And how many days in a menstrual cycle? 5? 8 and 5 is, I'm asking the CA. I'm very bad at maths. That's 13. Can you imagine me walking up to my employer and saying, sorry, but out of the 30 days, I'm only available 17 days to work. Will that, no, I'm not getting into a debate again. Will that debilitate me from getting an opportunity to work? Let's consider every aspect. Will that create a new negative environment from women getting work? One needs to reflect on that. And gentlemen, I would beg your indulgence with a little bit of silence on this issue. Will that create a debilitating factor for women? Now you're seated amongst women who are professionals. They are teachers here. They obviously have gone through that biological cycle themselves. Which means that we can contextualize with inputs from working female professionals that they have worked without this kind of leave because they do not want to debilitate an equal opportunity for women to get hired. For instance, let me talk about maternity leave. The government has brought up the maternity leave from 12 weeks to 26 weeks, correct? How many women do you know in the corporate sector who are taking 26 weeks off? We have legislated it. And why are women not doing it? So like I said, while I cannot make a policy pronouncement outside Parliament, we need to make sure, why did they send me, let's talk about professionalism. Why did they send me to Amethi to fight such? Because I was a woman? Because I was the best damn person who could go there and give Rahul Gandhi a run for his money. And that is how I want opportunities created for young girls and women. We talk about equal pay for equal work. It is now mandated under law. We talk about a respectable way of making a living that is mandated under law. I want to now see transitioning of women from equal pay to equal for equal work to a position where they say that irrespective of the men that I'm working with, my contribution to your company is higher and hence pay me higher. I think it's time to now go to that next conversation.
Thank you, ma'am. We have time for last two questions and one.
Are you going to the gentleman with the yellow shirt?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
He gives the vibe of a tough question.
Now, he looks like trouble. The mic is in trouble.
हेलो हाँ नमस्ते मैम मेरा नाम प्रत्यूष है और मैं हिंदी में ही बोलूँगा
ठीक है प्रत्युष
मैम थोड़ा संवेदनशील विषय है हिंदू मंदिरों पर सरकारी नियंत्रण होना दुखद और अतार्किक है जबकि संविधान को धर्मनिरपेक्ष माना जाता है जिसका अर्थ है सभी धर्मों के लिए समानता और धर्म को सरकार से अलग करना मैम इस पे कब कुछ बदलाव आएगा कुछ होगा
मैं इतना ही कहूंगी प्रत्युष कि जिस संदर्भ में यूसीसी की अभी चर्चा हो रही थी ये सारे विषय उसी में समाविष्ट है
मैम बट इस पे स्पेसिफिकली मेरे को इसी चीज पे
इसीलिए कह रही हूँ
हाँ मैम
ये सारे विषय उसी एक सब्जेक्ट में समाविष्ट होंगे
मैम उसमें तो लेकिन
मर्यादा में सभी के सभी धर्म एक जैसे हैं तो एक धर्म पर विशेष प्रावधान क्यों मैं एक छोटा आपको उदाहरण देती हूँ जैसे कि वक्फ आई एम द मिनिस्टर माइनॉरिटी इन द कंट्री राइट वक्फ क्या है जो आप अपने धर्म को इस्लाम की दृष्टि से देते हैं धर्म के स्थापना के लिए अथवा धर्म को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए कांग्रेस पार्टी ने जब उनका कार्यकाल था तो इस प्रॉपर्टी को मेंटेन करने के लिए एक पीएसयू बना दी किसी भी धर्म के और लोगों के लिए प्रॉपर्टी मेंटेनेंस के लिए कोई स्पेशल टैक्स पेयर के पैसे से पीएसयू नहीं है आपकी किसी प्रॉपर्टी को देखने के लिए टैक्स पेयर का इस्तेमाल होता है नवादकों में होता है तो इसलिए कह रही हूँ ये सारे विषय जो हैं ये सब उस एक यूसीसी के विषय में समाविष्ट होते हैं तो जो लोग कहते हैं कि हमें अलग कानून एक खानदान के लिए चाहिए वही लोग हैं जिन्होंने विभाजन का ये बीज बोया हमारे देश में
थैंक यू
Thank you. We'll have, just for your sheer persistence.
Who has been, oh yes, that gentleman there, next to Sahil. Yes.
Number 33.
He's smiling, but he is troubled.
Yes. By the way, Didi we heard was so fluent in Hindi. She is one of the most, her polyglot, synonymous for polyglot as she speaks fluent Punjabi, she speaks fluent Gujarati, Marathi, Hindi, English, Bengali, and how many else, Didi?
Who are the Bangalis? সবাই বাঙালি বসে আছে চুপচাপ বাঙালি गुजराती ક્યાં છે બધા आणि मराठी कुठे आहेत
Good afternoon, ma'am. Jai Hind. My name is Vibhav. I'm from 6th semester BTech. It's a pleasure to have you here. Ma'am, my question is, considering social media is being used as a tool of information for the youth, how does the government of India protect the youth from misinformation that's being spread firstly? Because there are certain divisive forces within India who push narratives that seek to destabilize the government.
Vibhav,
and
that's exactly why I'm really grateful to Tejasvi for getting me here in PS. And let me just say this, irrespective of what Guru said on blasphemy. No, I'm saying this without any modicum of humor. You see, one of the greatest tests for a politician and a public servant, and I keep referring to myself as a servant, is when I have the aptitude to come and face you irrespective of whatever questions you have. Right? I think one of the greatest contributions we can make as citizens, today I am talking. Vibhav, can you start this chat on your platforms? You can. Please do it. Like I said, this whole conundrum, like Sahil asked about BBC documentary, right? This whole conundrum has happened after India became the 5th largest economy. Have you seen the noise that has happened? After the world wanted to come and invest in our country, suddenly we became an intolerant lot. After the world said and saw what we could do in the pandemic, can you imagine 1 billion plus people managing a pandemic? We have 6,22,000 villages in our country. Not one village community went awry. We had 6 million female frontline health workers who went from home to home checking on the health of every Indian citizen. Not one Indian doctor, not one Indian nurse, not one Indian ward person ran away from duty. That is us as people. There was pressure. There was pressure, get vaccines from the US. We stuck our neck out and we said no. Prime Minister said, believe in Indian scientists, believe in Indian engineers, believe in India's capacity to make in India and to deliver it not only for India but the rest of the world. This whole conundrum about intolerance has happened when we proved to the world that your back was to the wall. India did not profit from your misery. We became the pharmacy to the world. We vaccinated 1 billion plus people. We did it on our own. And it is not that we were bereft of challenges. We had the enemy come into our country and kill our jawans. And our men and women in uniform tore the sky of the enemy country and bombed the terrorist hideouts. We got our kids back from the Ukraine-Russia standoff. We put the war at ease so that we could get our kids out. That is us today. And that is why, Vibhav, every Indian, my plea is, Tejasvi is looking at it from the election point of view, and that is why this Samvad. I am saying to you today as an Indian citizen, I am 47 years old, Vibhav. It is your opportunity they are hoping to hijack. It is your future that is at stake. This is not about Modi alone. This is about people who have looted this country for years. They want a shot at your treasury again. It is your fight. So Vibhav, use your platforms. All of you who believe in India, believe in yourself. We fight, we crib, but when adversity comes, we stand together. And that is why today, again I'm referring to Guru. You are not of the same religious identity. You are not of the same caste and community. But you all said in one voice, let us not indulge in insulting fellow Indians. So Vibhav, use your platform. Don't only look at ministers. Don't look at only MPs. We fight the battle for people like you. You elect people like us and send us. But fight is with us. against those people who want to deny you your future. That is my plea to you. That is why I came here today. Because knowing Tejasvi, election, he's got it set. He'll win.
Thank you, Didi. We have the last question. I see a lot of hands going up, but the last question is going to be from the Pro-Chancellor, Professor Jawahar.
You see what they do? They begin with Rahul, they end with Jawahar.
Ma'am, the question is on behalf of all the students here. When will we see an end to reservations in this country?
It is ironical. It is ironical the question comes from a man called Jawahar. But I ask everybody in this house today, you know of communities that have been disenfranchised. You know of families that have been denied opportunities because they have been born in a particular community. I ask fellow Indians today, will you refuse affirmative action to help? Till such time, we do not have equity. Can some begin the race from behind us for the same destination we all hope to reach? So till such time, we ensure no Indian is left behind because of their historical community challenges. Should we shoulder them to a better tomorrow? It is a challenge. Like I said, I belong, sir, in a family which is a micro minority, not even a minority. There are only close to 56,000 Parsis left in the world. But what I'm proud about the family I'm married into. And somebody went and said, you are minority. They said, no, an Indian can never be a minority in their own country. But the reason they could afford to say it is because their per capita income from that of a poor Dalit family was much higher. So I think a country which is inclusive, a country which is ensuring there is equality and equity, is a country which will ensure affirmative action for those who have been historically denied an equal opportunity and access to education.
Just a small extension to the same question, ma'am. Will there be like quotas for various categories that are there? Will the total percentage of all the categories put together not exceed 100%? What part of that 100% should be open general merit?
Sir, again, I'm talking about affirmative action while the parliament is in session and I'm a cabinet minister. Can I create discord in the country just because I want to answer a question of yours and gain some brownie points? Can I create unrest amongst communities? I can't. I cannot deny the rights to those who are disenfranchised, but at the same time, I cannot make pronouncements for the upper community to create discord. My father is a Rajput, my mother is a Brahmin. Let me say it for the record, if that matters. The fact that today a cabinet minister has been pushed into a position to declare her parents' caste by none other than the Pro-Chancellor. Does that augur well for our democracy? Is a question we need to reflect upon. What do I look at PES and think? That irrespective of where the student comes from, irrespective of the student's bank balance, if institutions like PES can provide that meritorious student, no matter where they come from, an opportunity not only to educate themselves, not only to compete, but also ensure that cyclic benefit is given to all such students. I think that is one of the greatest achievements of your academic institution.
Ma'am, last remarks before we conclude?
No, I think that it's been a great conversation, but as conversations go, it has to continue. I have not promised in any of my answers, in any fashion whatsoever, that we will be bereft of challenges. What I hope I have communicated is that irrespective of challenges, and we as a nation state have recently been challenged, that we will meet it resolutely with solutions. In my introduction, Tejasvi and Chancellor was kind enough to talk about my oratory skills, the fact that I did the foundation document for the new education policy. But possibly what is lesser known is that I was Minister Textiles, who was the helm of affairs during the PPE story. So ladies and gentlemen, before I leave, let me give you a little glimpse of what it was like to be Textiles Minister when the pandemic came. In February of that year, before there was a lockdown globally, we all sat together and realized that India in its history had never produced a single PPE suit. Because India did not have machines, India did not have raw material, India never pronounced a need. And our import, you'll be astounded, was a mere 55,000 pieces every year. WHO had not given its medical standards for production of PPE suits till then, for the pandemic. On the last day of February at night, the universal standards for production of PPE suits came. The next morning, there was a lockdown. The Prime Minister convened an amalgam of officers, ministers to ensure that the country works with alacrity on vaccine, on PPE suits. But while vaccines, given its chemical disposition, was something that our scientists had access to, we did not have a single raw material for creating the magic called PPE. We then got together 60 of us, officers, members of the industry, in my room in Textiles Ministry where everything was shut down. And we said, how do we complement the confidence of the Prime Minister? We called everybody we knew. We found one lady in Phagwada. She used to export a material that was very close to how PPEs were made, but she did it for the United States of America. We called her and we said, we have no money, but we need that cloth. She happily gave it because the country was in need. Day 2, we had a lab in Coimbatore. All the scientists were on leave because the pandemic was new, was severe, and every family asked all its members to stay home. We called the scientists and said, can you come to lab? He said, yes. We flew it down from North India to Coimbatore with only 2-3 people managing the logistics. 2 days later, the scientists called back. This will work. But where are the machines? We called a fellow citizen who was a renowned industrialist, and I said, sir, can you lend us some money? Can you donate it? For 30 machines that are sitting in Japan. The next person I called was Jayashankar. I said, I need to fly those machines down. Then I called my colleague in civil aviation. Can you get me a plane? And who do we fly it down to? We flew it down to somebody who was making textile t-shirts. Tennis ones at that. In Gurgaon. Machine raw material assembled, voila. Somebody said, we can make it. But how do we expand our production? We called every textile manufacturer in the country. They repurposed their machines. And ladies and gentlemen, India in March had 0 companies. By May, we had 1,100 companies. And we became the second largest PPEs exporters in the world. China till then. China till then was selling PPE suits at 2,200 rupees per piece. We brought down the cost at $175. And in all that, why am I giving you this context? In all that conundrum, in that cacophony, in that chaos, ran an officer to me in the middle of the corridor and said, I can make swabs. I said, how can you make swabs? We are importing them. He said, ये Johnson & Johnson की earbud की डंडियाँ मुझे ला दीजिए. Because I have found raw material which is used as a waste somewhere. I can repurpose it, send it to the lab and make that swab. The swab that was costing, ladies and gentlemen, in import for $17 suddenly was made in India for 10 paisa. And that is why I believe in the India story. The India story is not only about politicians like me and Tejasvi. It's not only about the Prime Minister. When the Prime Minister says make in India, he says it with confidence because he believes you can make it in India. So my best wishes for your future. Be responsible and vote.
Thank you so much. I request all of you to please stand up in applause for Didi, who can, there's one adjective, unputdownable. That's what defines the spontaneity, the wit, the sincerity with which she keeps delivering the work for the nation, the service for the nation. Once again, Didi, thank you so much on behalf of Bengaluru, on behalf of all our young people from PESIT. Thank you so much, Didi, for coming here and speaking to all of us. Thank you, PESIT. Namaskara.
I would now like to call upon Mr. Sandeep Ravi, sir, the co-convener of the Yuva Samvada Bengaluru South and Vice President of the BJYM Bengaluru South, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
I take this opportunity on behalf of PS University and Bharatiya Janata Yuva Morcha to